I promised myself I was done buying cars for a while, but then I bought a cop car by accident. This is a 2017 Ford Explorer Police Interceptor from the Tennessee Highway Patrol. Oops.
Alright, stop.
That's what I told myself. 14 vehicles is enough. And then, this won't be my first law enforcement themed vehicle. Here's my 2007 Hummer H2, styled after the CSI Miami television show. In addition to the CSI Hummer, I do have a 1990 M998 Humvee, aptly named Arnold. Arnold tried to kill me once. I'll provide a link for that video right here. Rounding out my SUVs is this 2006 Hummer H2. I call that one the Tumbler. But this is the vehicle you came to talk about. I want to go over some of the things that you could expect if you buy a decommissioned police vehicle at an auction. As we look at the top of the vehicle, you can obviously see where equipment was removed. There were lights and strobes across the top of this vehicle. There are holes there that I plan on filling in with grommets and then, of course, taking that tape off and filling them in properly. A big plus is that the paint job is nearly flawless because most of the vehicle was covered in a vinyl wrap. Perhaps the biggest advantage of driving this thing is the intimidating front end. I gotta tell you, I've gotten everywhere I need to go a lot faster because when this thing's coming up behind you, people move out of the way. Now let me explain what I mean when I say I bought this thing by accident. It really was kind of my fault. I've been looking for one of these for about 4 years, and I found one on a website and was looking at it. Normally they go for anywhere between $7,000 and $9,000, as I've been seeing. The week before I won this, I'd actually won 2 other auction bids on a totally different auction site. One was a 1976 Corvette Stingray, and one was a 1987 Nissan 300ZX. So I had completely forgotten about this vehicle. So when I got the notification that I'd won, I was actually surprised. Some agencies actually remove this spotlight, and some don't. The fact is, it's not illegal to have it. And of course, they also left the grill guard on the front of this. That was the key to this vehicle for me because I really like the look of it, like I said before. The things that they take off are like the blue lights, the red lights. I put these white lights on there just because the grill looked kind of empty. But do not buy one of these vehicles and try to impersonate a cop. It's a great way to get arrested. For vehicles that had wraps on them, you're absolutely going to find remnants of the wrap somewhere because they just want to take off anything that shows that it's a police vehicle, and they don't bother doing the meticulous part. I really need to clean this vehicle. Haven't cleaned it yet. If you look at the back, you can still read that it says State Trooper. They didn't get all the residue off. Looking into the back seat, you're likely to still have these brackets in there that originally held the cage because, of course, prisoners were back there. And you can see the bolts in the side. I think they actually had like hard plastic seats and then put the factory seats back in. And if you look in the back, you can actually still see brackets that were for the rear part of the cage, so prisoners can't access the rear. Looking in on this side, when they took out the emergency equipment, they did not put the interior back together very well. Of course, they don't really care so much about that. They really just want to get the equipment out. So I'm really going to have to work on this part. I got everything else kind of buttoned up nicely, but this is actually sitting a few inches higher than it's supposed to. So I'm going to have to work on that to get it put back together. The headliner I got all put back in place, and the other side was easy to snap back in. But this is going to be an issue. The cargo area has a lot of room. It looks great. If you look up here, I still need to fix this part of the headliner. The entire headliner was sagging down. The first time I used the rear wiper, I actually heard some liquid coming from down here when I tried to use the wiper fluid. It turns out that the hose was actually disconnected. I had to reconnect that as well. One thing you can bet on for sure is high miles. Yes, they're going to be highway miles, but another issue with this is the fact that you know that they leave these vehicles idling a long time. The engine hours on this one are over 10,000. I did the math. It's like the vehicle is running for 433 days. Another thing you're going to have to pay attention to is the wiring. They cut so many wires deep inside that they actually left some exposed. I found exposed ground wires and, more importantly, hot wires that were down there. I actually put that switch in there myself to run my lights, but you're going to have to go through and make sure that you're not going to be shorting things out somewhere. Another reason I'm happy to have this vehicle, even though I've got all these others, it's also all-wheel drive, but it's a 6-cylinder, and I'm going to save a lot on gas, so I can use this in more situations. Another thing I do need to figure out is how to get these back doors working again. See, you don't have the plunger there. I'm not even sure if it has all the guts, but the child lock thing is blocked off. I might be able to get that off, but as it sits, because it used to be for prisoners, you get in there, you're not getting out unless someone lets you out or you climb out the front. Even without the wrap and the lights, this thing still looks like a cop car. You've got the chrome center caps, you've got the push bar on the front, you've got the spotlight. There's a lot of cleaning up to do. They leave a lot of bolts and exposed wires and different things. There is no center console. They take that out because I think it was a special one anyway, because the original Ford Explorers actually have a shifter that's right on the console itself, and for this vehicle the shifter is up here on the steering column. You're not going to have floor mats either, just this rubberized surface here, and again, these could be really messy. The guy who drove this before apparently loved Jolly Ranchers. And wait a minute, what the? Seriously? Come on, way to perpetuate the stereotype, dude. It pays to do your research and make sure you're getting a nice, good vehicle. I didn't see this one in person. I think I got really lucky. And I would 10 out of 10 do it again.